welcome to day one of the Make More Money Challenge. I am so excited that you are here with me. This has been such a fun experience putting this challenge together and having an opportunity just to be here with you for the next 4 days and really dig into what matters for you and create the tools and the support that you need to take your business to the next level. I don't know about you, but it's definitely been a wild time lately between the pandemic and getting kids back into school and doing all the things. There's been a lot going on. We're doing a lot of things right now. And sometimes during those times, our business might feel like we put it on a shelf and we put it to the side a little bit, and it's not able to be our number one focus because we have so much going on. So what I want to do today is really dig into how can we master a content strategy that really nurtures your community and allows you to build trust so that you can show up for your community in a way that feels really easy and supportive and strategic for not only your community, but for you too. So I would love for you to take a second and just think about your business with the content piece of your business right now, of how you're creating content. What is that process looking like for you right now? Is it feeling really hard and you sit down at your computer to create a blog post or to write a video script or to record that video, and you feel like all the creative juices might have completely flittered away and you're not sure what to write? I've definitely had those days. Yeah, I sat there at my computer with a blank screen and knew I had something to say and knew it was important, but I didn't know how to start the words, or I didn't know in that moment how to say it. So I'd love for you just to take a second, and I'm going to give you a couple of options, and let me know in the chat whether you're watching right now live or if you're on the replay. Where do you find yourself right this moment with your content? Share in the chat, A, if you are the content queen or king and you are showing up all the time, creating tons of content, you feel like you're in a major rhythm and you've got this. You're creating almost too much content because you're on fire. That's A. Or are you B? You're consistently showing up. Maybe you're posting one new piece of content per week, a couple times a week, once a month. Or C, very rarely are you showing up and sharing any content. It's kind of sporadic, only when you feel like you have a epiphany or a moment. Or are you D, and you're like, Darlene, what? We're supposed to be creating content? Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to create content for my business. So A in the chat if you're a content queen, B if you're consistently showing up, C if it's very rare and sporadic, and D if you're wondering, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to create content. Go ahead and share in the chat, which one are you? All right, so there's lots of ways that we can show up when it comes to creating content. And out of those options I just shared, you don't need to be the content queen or king, and you don't want to be showing up never or very rarely. There's kind of this in-between place that I feel like we really need to have for consistently showing up for our community, creating content that builds some of that likability. So consistency to me, and what I work with my clients with, is to create some piece of core content one time per week and repurpose that content all over the place so it looks like and feels like you're showing up more often, but you don't have to stress out. You don't have to feel overwhelmed because you're creating content constantly. So you want to get into a rhythm where you're creating that one piece of core content and then you're repurposing it out to the masses. With that process, we're going to walk through some steps that we could take today. And I had a little bit of audio glitch, so I wasn't able to use Zoom this morning to share my screen, but I'm going to put in the chat after today's training, and I'll see if I can actually get it in here even right now so you can look at this with me as we're going through. But I want you to have the tools that you need to brainstorm the type of content you want to create. I want you to be able to feel like you don't sit down at your computer and stare at that blank screen and not know what to write, not know what to share. So I'm going to give you some tools today that you can actually implement immediately. And I'm actually going to challenge you to implement this immediately, as one of your action steps for today's challenge is going to be to create 5 content ideas with titles that you can create into either a blog or a YouTube video or a Facebook Live, an Instagram Live, a LinkedIn Live, wherever you show up for your audience. I want you to have 5 different topics that you can use to show up and to start getting into the routine of brainstorming. So let's take a second, and I just want to share a story with you. So one of the clients that I worked with recently came to me because she was really struggling with her visibility. And she was struggling with knowing how to show up and attract her ideal clients. She knew she was supposed to be creating content. She wanted to create content, but she was kind of in that category B where category C, where she was showing up very rarely. She was creating content only when she had an idea, only when she was inspired. And she really struggled with what that looked like and how she could show up and do it more consistently so that her community got to know her. That's the main reason we create content, is because we want the people that are in our influence, the people that are in our community, our audience, our dream clients, those people need to get to know us. They need to have the ability to start to build trust with us so that they go, oh, I see that you're showing up, you're sharing all this amazing content, you're taking them on a journey with them or with you so that they can understand who you are, what you do. So what would it look like if you didn't have to work so hard at knowing what types of content you wanted to share each week that would truly connect with your people? So when my client came to me and was struggling with that visibility piece, we sat down and we talked about what her core message was. And if you've worked with me before, or if you've been in my community, you know that the core message of your business is your summary hook. It's what grabs people's attention and makes them pay attention to who you are, what you do, what problem you solve, and why you're the perfect solution to solve that problem for them. It's kind of like an elevator pitch if you were live at a networking event, or if you're networking even virtually on social media. That's like the first thing that you say to someone when they ask that infamous question, so what do? You can answer back and tell them exactly who you are. So you have your core message, which for me, typically I say, hi, I'm Darlene Holly. I'm an online personal branding and business coach, and I work with coaches, consultants, experts, and service-based entrepreneurs to create profitable online businesses so they can attract dream clients and stand out online. That's my core summary. That's my core message that I share. But when you're creating content, we want to make sure that we build a framework around that model. We want to make sure that we stay in our lane when we're talking about the content that we're creating. If I, as a business coach, started talking about how to do yoga poses, or I don't know, something random like how to heal your gut, that might feel a little bit weird, because you'd be like, Darlene, that's not what you talk about. That's not what your business is. So I need to make sure that for me and my business that I'm staying in my lane and I'm staying centered around my core message. And I'm only talking about the themes that are around my core message. So to give you an example, some of my themes for my business that I talk about is I talk about messaging. I talk about nurturing your community. I talk about how to close more sales. I talk about uncovering your story. I talk about creating a content plan that makes sense for you. I talk about building a client attraction marketing system. Those are things that I talk about. So when I sit down and I create core content for my community, that's what I'm going to talk about. Those are the topics that make sense and that I want to create content around. So I'm going to see if I can drop in the chat here in the Facebook group the link that I want to share with you, since I can't share my screen this morning. So let me grab the workbook. And inside the workbook, under day 1, there's a diagram of a brainstorming activity, but there's also a link now right below there that you can click over to create your content map. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to see if I can get this here into, if I can find Facebook. I lost you guys. So I'm going to share in the chat. This is the workbook that you can go to. And inside the workbook, there is 2 tabs at the bottom. There is one tab that says brainstorming, and then there's also a tab that says content map. And so I want you to take a second, and for the brainstorming process, you'll notice along the left-hand side of the Google Sheet, there it says themes. And those themes are the things that you talk about in your business that are your core message. So those ones that I just shared with you, nurturing your community, building a strong foundation for your brand, uncovering your story. Those are my themes. I have 9 themes that I teach based around with my business. So I want you to take a second and think about what your themes are for your business and just write those down for a second. So, and if you could, in the chat, share one of your themes or a couple of your themes that are coming up for you when you think of your themes and what you are talking about to stay consistent with your community. And once you have those themes mapped out, you're able to look across the top of the document, and I've given you some prompts. There's prompts on there, how to, like how, so what you could do at this point is you can look across the top with the different prompts that you have, and you can look at your themes. So you could create a theme. For me, one of my themes is building a strong foundation. And so one of the topics that I could talk about could be a how-to blog. I could do how to find new clients for your service-based business, or how to create content that attracts your dream clients and allows you to stand out. I can create different themes based off of that how-to prompt, based off of the themes that are on my left-hand side of the document. So let me know if that is making sense. If you're tracking, go ahead and share in the chat if that is making sense. And you'll also notice across the top of the content map, there's other topics. So I'm going to share a couple of those. So if you don't have the visual open right now, you can open it later and go back into, but there's the how-to prompt. There's a story prompt. What's a story? And I'm just going to keep with one of my themes, and I'm going to stick with uncovering your story for this example. So if my theme is uncover your story, I could write a blog on how to uncover your story and attract your dream clients. Another prompt could be just a story. I could share a story about how to share a story in your business so that you can create content that connects with your dream clients. Another prompt might be a case study or a testimonial. So I could share a story about how I worked with a client to support them in sharing their story on their About Me page on their website. So that would be my blog post. Or another option might be, and I love this one, is what is a stance that you have, or a rant, or sometimes you like to get up on your soapbox, let's say, and you get really passionate about something specific to the theme that you're talking about. So for this example, uncovering your story, I could get up on my soapbox and talk about how I believe that you should share not only the good things that are happening in your life as an online entrepreneur and a coach or consultant, but also share some of the struggle, some of the things that maybe aren't going quite right. So many online entrepreneurs share only the good stuff, the fluffy, perfect, pretty picture life. Especially if you're on social media, you'll see so much goodness, and they don't share those moments when life isn't going great, or when they've been diagnosed with an illness, or if they're just going through a really hard time. And I think it's important as an entrepreneur to show up authentically and vulnerable. And so I talk about that. That could be a topic that I could do a blog post or a video about. And it's different. It's my stance. It's my opinion of something going on in the marketplace. And it's different than what I see a lot of other people talking about. Most people talk about only the pretty stuff, like I shared, not necessarily some of the deep stuff that is real life. And I want to connect to my clients, so I want to share those moments with them. Another prompt you could use is questions. What questions do you constantly get from either prospects that you're talking to, from clients, from people in your community, when you introduce yourself at a networking event? What questions do people typically ask you? You can write a blog post answering one of those questions. So I could say, let's see, what's a question I could ask? So I get asked a lot, how do I know if I'm sharing too much when I share my story? And I could turn that into a blog post. Another theme could be objections. And I love this one too. Maybe you get a lot of objections during your consults, during your clarity calls, discovery calls, when you're talking to a new prospect who is interested possibly in working with you. They have not quite said yes. And we're going to talk a lot more about this on day 4 on Friday, when we talk about some of those objections that we get when we get people to go from prospect to client. But you could write a blog post about one of those objections that people give to you when they are showing up. So my theme is uncovering your story. So an objective I might get is, how do I know if I'm sharing too much of my story? So I would write a blog post about that. And I'm going to give just a couple more examples of this, because you'll have all of these in the Google Doc that I've shared in the link. But you could also share 5 steps to uncover your story, or 3 ways to connect with your ideal client by sharing your story. So you could use the blank steps too as part of your content that you're writing for one of your topics. And then some other things you can do, you can share transformational stories for yourself that have been transformational. Maybe it's a case study or a testimonial transformation from one of your clients. And then I also like to have a category prompt for behind the scenes. What things are you doing on a day-to-day basis that is behind the scenes that you can kind of give a sneak peek into your life? And it can be prompt around the theme, uncovering your story for me for this example. I could talk about how I share parts of my story, or I could talk about how I share a story I shared a story once and it was really hard, and here's why it was hard, and here's how I pushed through and got there. Or I could just do a simple behind the scenes and be like a day in the life of Darlene when she creates content, kind of like what we're doing right now. I'm taking you behind the scenes and sharing a little bit about how I create content and how I connect with my audience. So I'm curious how this is landing. Go ahead and share in the chat if this is making sense. So on the left-hand side, you've got your themes, the things that you talk about in your business to keep you in your lane and to start to build that trust with your community, that you talk about a specific topic because you're a genius, you're an expert in this area, and this is what you want to be known for. And then across the top, you have all the different types of options. So as you can see, if you write down all your themes, so if you have 9 themes and you have, what do I have here? 2, 4, 6, 8, there's 10 different topics that go across the top. You could easily create 50 plus blog posts, video titles, content titles for whatever way that you're showing up each week to create content. So let me know if that excites you to be able to sit down and think about the fact that you could easily sit down in one 30-minute session and just go across this template and say, okay, here's my theme, and I want to create a title for 5 steps to blank based off of this theme. I want to share a story or a case study or a testimonial based off of this theme. And you could just go across and you kind of just put the pieces together. So you might be on your theme number 4 and you're going to create a objective to whatever that theme 4 is for you in your business. So it makes it really easy for you just to show up and create content really easily. Yeah, Talia, I'm glad that it's making sense and it's landing because it makes it so much easier when you can just show up and create that content. And I love your idea that your title. I always hear, I wish I knew about you when a friend or loved one was diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, people ask that question. So you can turn that into a blog post and make it really easy. Hey, Christina, yeah, I'm glad it makes sense. And it's so easy to create content from this place because you don't have to overthink it. And the beautiful thing about it as well is it takes away some of the stress that we have when we sit down and we try to create content from that blank screen. So part of what I want you to take action on today, and I'm really going to challenge you to do, is find 30 minutes where you can just carve out 30 minutes to sit down and brainstorm these content ideas. That way, you can also look at it and start to see which of these content ideas that I just brainstormed do I actually want to write over the month of October. So my challenge to you is I want you to map out this brainstorming session, and then I want you to pick the next 5 pieces of content that you can create. And I want you to give it a title. And think about if my ideal client was awake at 2 o'clock in the morning and they were struggling with insomnia and they're worried about whatever it is you happen to be the solution to their problem for, what would they type into Google? What would they type into Pinterest? What would they type into YouTube if they wanted to find a solution to that specific problem that they're struggling with, that you're the answer to? And use that as a tool, as a catalyst for creating that title, because that's what your ideal clients are searching for. We want to make sure that our titles for our blog posts, for our videos, whatever content we're creating, matches up clearly with what our ideal client is looking for. That way, when they are actually out there looking for us, they can easily find us and they don't have to guess at how to find you. So if you're in the Google Doc with the link in the chat, and if anybody's come in since and it's not showing still, I think it'll show in the Facebook Live still, but if not, let me know and I can reshare it again. But go ahead and head back to the document, and I want you to look along the bottom of where it says content map. And I want you to list out 5 of those titles for October that you can create content. And most of you that have been in my community know this already, but if you're brand new here, I'm so excited you're here. I like to create content 1 time per week. So the first place that I create my content for is for my newsletter list. And I create the content from the newsletter list, and then I repurpose it to my blog, to a YouTube video. I share it on Pinterest. It's on my website as a blog. I share it on social media. So I repurpose that one piece of content each week to all those channels. So I'm creating it just specifically for my newsletter list. And then from there, I'm repurposing it everywhere. So I want you to map out from that brainstorming session, I want you to map out your October. So pick 5 topics from your brainstorming session and write them in your content map under the content map schedule. And you'll put which category it's from, so based off of your theme. So I have an example in the document. So the first one here is foundation. So one of my themes is called foundation for your business. And you can put the date. For this one, this example, I just pulled an old piece of content. So this was actually from October 2020. The title for the video and the blog was How to Find New Clients for Your Service-Based Business. You can do some keyword research, which I love to do keyword research. You can use Uber Suggest or Keywords Anywhere, or those are the best 2 that I found for finding the keywords for SEO purposes to make sure that your ideal client is actually looking for the words that you got described here. And then you're just going to make a short description to grab people's attention that's keyword friendly. And as you can see in this description, so the title is How to Find New Clients for Your Service-Based Business. The description is it's time to grow your business and start putting yourself out there so that you can create a revenue generating business that feels fun and easy. Here are 4 tips to finding new clients online so that you can grow your practice and create raving fans. Once you create the content, there's a box where you can link. So for this specific example, I already linked, because this is an old blog post that I've already created, an example so you can go over if you'd like to and see how I put that on my website so that I can be found on Google. And then I just have a box next to that that says format. So you could say it's a blog, it's a video, it's a YouTube video, it is a vlog, like whatever type of content you created it as, note that there so that you know. And then there's a spot for comments. So if you need to leave yourself a note, or if you have a virtual assistant and they're going to be in this document with you, you can leave any comments or ideas right there. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat how this is feeling. Does it feel easy for you to create those 5 different ideas? And I'm only asking you today to map out your October content. So I want you to pick 5 topics. And if you, as you notice through the brainstorm document, you could easily come up with your next 90 days and pick out 12, or you could easily map out your whole entire year, because there's more than 52 boxes on here. You could have your whole entire year mapped out, and you could just take those topics from the brainstorming session, and as you use them, you could start moving them over into the content map for yourself and just put dates next to it so that you know what day you're showing up, what day you're creating the content. Let me know if you have any questions. And I just want to have you take a second and think, how easy would it be for me to show up for my community if I took a second to brainstorm my content for October? I gave it titles that are SEO and keyword friendly. And then I knew what I was writing about when I sat down each week for the next 5 weeks. You don't even have to create the content for these 5. I just want you to know what the 5 topics are going to be. And the reason I love to have those topics mapped out is, like I shared, I'm not somebody who can just sit down and go, oh, it's content creation day, I'm just going to sit down and create something with this blank sheet of paper. My brain doesn't work that way. Yeah, some days I might be inspired and know exactly what to write about, but most time I will sit there for an hour with a blank screen and not even know what to say, because I'll feel like all my creative juices have been flown out the window. But when I know ahead of time what the next 5 blog posts are going to be about and videos that I'm going to create, I'm able to start thinking about it. So if I'm on a walk with the dog, or taking the kids to school, or if I'm taking a shower or cooking dinner, I already kind of know what I'm talking about for the next couple of blogs, and I can start thinking about it. And then as I have ideas that download during those times when I'm out for a walk or taking a shower, I can open up a note tab, or I can even come right back into this content map document and start listing some of the bullet points that I can talk about. And so typically by the time I actually sit down to create my content for that coming week, I already have 3 to 5 bullet points written down. And then I don't have to start from a blank screen. I have a title on my screen. I have 3 to 5 bullet points with things that I can talk about, and then I can just expand from there. And typically I create a video as my piece of content. So I might add a little bit more words in there to my bullet points to kind of script myself for the video itself. But I don't have to write the whole entire thing. I can just go to YouTube, hit YouTube Live, put my title in, start talking, and just share from those 3 to 5 bullet points what I want to say about them. And then I give a really strong call to action at the end. And I end the video, and then I can repurpose that video to my newsletter list, to my blog. It's already on YouTube because I went on YouTube Live. I can create a Pinterest link back to my blog. I can share the article on social media and link it to my blog, or to share the video. I have ways to repurpose that content and get seen and have the ability to start to build that trust within my community. So if you have questions, please feel free to leave those in the chat. I'm going to be coming back through and checking for those all day today, most of the week actually. So depending on when you're watching this video, feel free to put #replay or comment or ask questions here so that I can come back to you and make sure that you've got everything that you need. But I want you to go into the link, and I'm going to challenge you today to really stretch yourself. And there's going to be a prompt that posted. It actually probably already posted here in the group. It was set to post at 9:30 Pacific time. So there's already a prompt here in the group that's asking you to share a picture of either your brainstorm or your next 5 pieces of content. You can share both if you'd like to, or you can just share a picture of you mapping out the next 5 blog post titles. And if you're feeling really adventurous, you'll get extra credit points from me if you map out the next 90 days and you get 12 pieces of content ideas. And I want you to participate with this. Sit down, write these out, take a picture, upload it, and you're going to be entered into a raffle to win a prize for part of the action steps that we're taking through this challenge today. Before I end today's session, I just want to say to you that your prospects, your community, your audience, your dream clients, your ideal clients, whatever you call them, the people that are showing up to learn from you because they know you're an expert in your field, they want to hear from you. They need to hear from you. So what kind of permission do you need to give to yourself right now to carve out the time to create content each week, to get in front of your dream clients so that you can show that you're an expert in your zone of genius? And also, what's getting in your way? What do you need to give yourself permission to let go of so that you can truly, authentically, vulnerably show up for your community and connect with them and give them the support that they need so that you can keep doing the work that you love? Your community needs you, and they only need you. Yes, there's lots of people out there that do similar work that you do, but only you can show up in the way that you show up and share your content each week. You've gone through life experiences. You've gone through self-development, you've read books, you've gone to classes, you've done trainings, you've done the work to get to where you are today. And only you can share that message the way that you do because of those experiences, those skill sets, those stories, those pieces of you from your past careers, from your life lessons. It comes specifically from you, and your community needs you. So I'm calling you out that you start showing up in a huge way for your community. Start doing the work that you were meant to do, and keep showing up as you. I can't wait to see the content that you create. I can't wait to see your next 5 blog posts or videos or lives, whatever way you choose to create your content. And take a second right now and look at your calendar for the rest of today and find that 15 minutes to 30 minutes to do your massive brainstorming exercise, and then pick your next 5 blog posts so that you can already have a plan set in place for what your October is going to look like, and you can just show up, make it easy, make it fun, take away the guesswork, and show up for your community and show up for you. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 2. I'll be right back here in the Facebook group. Hopefully I will have my Zoom figured out so that I can actually share my screen a little bit with you. But if not, know that I will have the workbook here in the chat every single day, and everything's going to be in one place. So if you can use the same link to come back tomorrow all the way through Friday, and make sure you get exactly everything that you need for the challenge so that you can start taking the steps to really call in your dream clients. Start standing out online because you're creating phenomenal content that people are so excited to read each week. They can't even imagine how amazing it would be to work with you and to pay you for this type of content, because you give so much in your content each week. They know they're going to get so much value when they work from you or work with you. All right, that is it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to share them in the chat, and I will be back soon. Have an amazing day. Bye, everybody.